guys, thanks for watching. Today you're tuning in and I'm going to talk about a few different things. I'm going to start with the concept of transference in a therapy session or social work session. And then I'm going to move into self-care for social workers. In particular, the 6 different segments of the social work self-care wheel. Well, I don't know if it's the social work wheel of self-care, but it is a self-care wheel, and I think it's perfect for social workers. So stay tuned. The concept of transference, let's start with transference first. The concept of transference is the feelings that a client transfers out onto the therapist that may be coming unconsciously from their own unresolved issues with other relationships in their lives or other parts of their lives. So basically, you are a blank slate that the client, in whether they know it or not, is kind of transferring their feelings and unresolved issues upon. Regardless if this is happening in session or not, if you are connecting with someone, meeting with someone regularly, a social worker can sometimes feel a sliver of what our client is going through on a daily basis while we're in session with them. What countertransference is our own, the therapist's own reaction in therapy to the transference or to whatever's happening with the client. And to me, it's hit me, not every single session, but the feelings, what the client is emoting has begun to hit me in a few sessions, which of course I need to be aware of. So I'm hoping that you're aware of the moments that the transference might be high, or the level of emotions out in the session room might be affecting you. If you've been in therapy with a client with anxiety, anger issues, depression, you may know what I'm talking about. Not want countertransference in session, although countertransference can help you to understand maybe a little bit about what the client might be needing in a sense. Because you can bank that if you're having a certain unconscious reaction to a client, whether it be really good or not so good, kind of a resistance, then you can assume that this is the reaction that this person is getting on the daily basis from other people. All of this is information. All of this goes into our assessment about the client. Anyway, so countertransference and transference, to me, this segues beautifully into self-care. And if I have found a pretty nifty wheel on self-care on Pinterest. I do have a Pinterest. I'll link it in the description box. And there are 6 segments or 6 spokes of self-care. I'm going to start with physical. So physical, some examples for physical would be eating well, exercising, of course. And for me personally, it's going to be just being outside, being in nature, and walking. Being physical. I've also started to sprint, which is helping a little bit, but I'm going to be honest, I'm not a big exercise fan. Into the next segment, it's psychological, which would be, examples would be drawing, painting, self-reflection, journal. For myself, I've written it down because there's just so many ways to practice self-care. It's awesome. For me, it's going to be journaling, as I mentioned, and also gardening. So this also gets me out into nature. But you may have heard that in social work, we're in the business of planting seeds, especially working with adolescents and children, which I do. So it kind of goes hand in hand. I'm doing an assessment on myself, guys. Emotional spoke. So the emotional segment of self-care would include things like laughing. Like I said, in therapy sessions, there is a lot of emotions being thrown around the room. So we throw it to the other end, the opposite end, which would be laughing and enjoying life and cuddling and feeling nurtured ourselves. And you can cuddle anything. Don't think you have to have significant other or very close family. Get a pet. Cuddling a pet is actually included in that segment, the emotional segment of the self-care wheel. Blah. But for myself, on the emotional spoke of the wheel, I would say that for me, it's treating myself with a little present. And this is kind of like a little bouquet of flowers. I did that for myself, and it just feels good to kind of see them there. I don't know. The next spoke is the spiritual spoke. So as you can assume, this is going along with meditation, prayer, yoga can be part of the spiritual spoke. For me, it's watching the sunset or taking nature walks, things like that. And then personal, there's 2 more segments. Personal is the next one. And that one is going to be goal setting, fostering your friendships, things like that. So taking some time, I like to do to-do lists and things like that, less of the friendship stuff. I'm going to get better at that. To the next segment of social work self-care wheel, which would be professional. Eating lunch with colleagues is one of those. So that's awesome. Another reason to do it, and push yourself to do it in my case. Leaving work right when work is over, not taking it home. That can be hard for some, not so much for me, but hard for some. And then for me, as far as professional, it's planning career goals. I like to take a few minutes, sometimes a month, to just really plan where my career is headed. It's also doing these YouTube videos and blogging. Self-care was something that was harped on, I mean seriously, in my graduate education. I had to report in on what exactly I was doing for my own self-care. I wasn't doing it. It just, with everything that a graduate student has to do and internships and papers and everything, self-care was not happening. I'm not gonna lie. But now I realize why it was harped on so much. It is needed. We are the change agent in that session with our clients. We are the tool. We're the ones holding these very difficult emotions, and that's going to take a toll on us whether we feel it right away or we don't. So we have to practice self-care. It's very, very important. Keep yourself sharp. Be a sharp social worker. Be an agent of change for our clients. Stay strong. Thank you for being social workers.